My name is Doris.
Doris Escobar. So what do you feel about violence in the Puerto Rican community?
Well, I mean, when you ask me that question, the first thing that comes to my mind is that there's just too much of it.
Right.
But it obviously it is a cultural thing, starting from when you're a child, the parents, the grandma tirando la chancleta kind of thing, and that kind of thing. But as kids get older in the community, in the Puerto Rican community, being Puerto Rican myself, it's it becomes a little more serious. People, parents, relatives really take it that extra step further. Sparing the rod, spoil the child is a really big deal in the Puerto Rican community. So, speaking from experience, I can tell you it was not a happy childhood in that sense. And I can tell you, as an adult having children myself, especially having children young, that it's been quite a challenge for me to try to break the cycle.
Right.
And although I've had children when I was young, had children later in life, I definitely am raising my second set of children different than I did my first set, which they complain all the time.
Yes, I know.
But
so from the time back when you were younger and now, do you think violence in the Puerto Rican community has risen or has it dropped? What do you think?
Well, I would say that it's risen, but it's risen more in the younger generation. It's
not the older population.
Yeah, not the older ones. The older ones learned. The younger ones haven't, and then the younger ones are more out of control.
All right, sounds good.
So all of that leads to a very bad situation for us when it comes to that.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Doris.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Dina. I'm originally from Germany. Work and live here in New York.
Hi, Dina. Can I ask you some questions? For example, do you believe that Puerto Ricans are more violent than other Hispanic nations? What do you think about that?
I can't really say Puerto Ricans because every time when I see violence going on TV, I can see Dominicans are violent. I can see Colombian as a little bit violent. So it's not only Puerto Ricans. That's my experience.
Another question to you, Dina. Do you think that you will be comfortable living in an area where there are only Puerto Ricans around you and like, for example, in the Bronx or even in Harlem, there are some neighborhoods where there are only Puerto Ricans. What do you think about that?
I don't think I would feel comfortable. I don't understand the language, and I'm sure every time when I step out of the house, even the stores around me, people wouldn't understand me. People would only speak Spanish. Like I said, I don't know the language, and every time I would feel uncomfortable coming back home in the middle of the night from work, say from the subway to my house, and I think people would watch me. People see me as a target. Like, no, I don't feel comfortable. I wouldn't feel comfortable. Definitely not.
Hi, what is your name? I'm just going to ask you a few questions about Puerto Rico.
Okay.
What do you know about the violence in Puerto Rico?
I know that it's starting to rise because of the corruption in the police force.
Why do you think it is so violent in Puerto Rico?
I think it's violent in Puerto Rico because right now the police is being violent towards the citizens. Recently, the FBI arrested 61 officers because of the corruption in the police force. And in 2011, there were 786 homicides, which is more than last year.
Okay, what would you consider the most dangerous part in Puerto Rico?
La Perla, because it's next to the tourist areas.
Do you know what the crime rate is like in Puerto Rico?
The crime rate is really high right now.
My name is Joel Hidalgo. I'm a police officer and I'm from the Bronx.
Officer, where were you born and raised?
Born and raised Sleepy Hollow, New York. And I was raised there also in Sleepy Hollow, New York, small town in Westchester.
Where's your family from originally?
My family was from Dominican Republic. They were born and raised there, and they came to this country for a better opportunity.
Have you ever been to the Dominican Republic?
Yeah, I was there like 4 years ago.
Is there one difference that you can come up with between the Dominican Republic and New York?
Oh, absolutely. It's third world over there. It's totally different. Not modern. New York is modern. It's up to date. I mean, it's getting a little better, but just third world country.
Would you consider that violence in the Dominican Republic is worse than violence in New York?
Oh, absolutely. It's just, a third world environment. There's no jobs over there, and everyone's on top of this. Population is, overcrowded, and there's just no jobs, and, unfortunately, that brings violence.
From a police officer's perspective, has violence impacted the Latino community?
I would say, from my own opinion, I would say yes, because a lot of Hispanic people, let's say, in my opinion, in New York, live in very populated areas, and when people are on top of each other, and sometimes there's a lot of envious people, there's greed, and all that, and the way the economy is now, all that brings violence, and I would say so.
What acts of violence are being committed by Latinos today as opposed when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, it was just, it used to be one-on-one fights. You get a little jumpings here and there, but now it's all with knives, guns. It's no more one-on-one. It's very violent crimes, very, very violent.
What do you want to see change in the Latino community as being a police officer?
I just, hopefully, things will get better, hopefully, more education, a lot of times, when there's education, people have a different mentality, but hopefully the economy gets better, people with more jobs have something to do instead of, just being around, just hanging around, because sometimes, just hanging around, just causes, innocent standby, stuff like that. So, hopefully, with the schools and stuff like that, and the more education out there, things will change and it'll be better for the Latino community.
Do you ever think that violence will ever diminish in the Latino community, or do you think that it's going to get worse?
Oh no, I mean, I say it's definitely going to get better, because our education system these days are a lot better. More people are graduating, more people are going to college, and just overall, everything's changing, and people are moving out. People are moving upstate now. I think with time things will change.
And lastly, officer, we live in a society where kids and young adults are the key targets towards violence. From your perspective, what are the things that can help them not fall on the wrong path?
Just, education. I have to say it has to do all with education. I mean, some of it has to do with the parenting also, but a lot of it's education, And, you put your kids in good schools, you're on top of them. Things will change. With adults, obviously, them going to college, them just getting a job, them just getting away from, I guess all the negative that some of these communities and environments have. Hope that makes sense.
So do you think that being in a violent environment or being just basically in a poor neighborhood and stuff like that, that impacts somebody to become violent themselves?
I would say, not necessarily. I mean, a lot of it sometimes has to do with the people you hang out with, or a current event that happened in your life. But most of it has to do with the people you hang out with and the impact that they do. A lot of it's peer pressure. A lot of it is you trying to, be part of a group, or you trying to show someone off or something like that. A lot of it has to do with stuff like that. I mean, a lot of it also has to do with drug related, and sometimes just kids don't think, and they just go into the wrong path.
From one heart to another, I lost two brothers. I had to brace myself, but that devastating news, that senseless act of violence. The people who did this took a code of silence, so they caught them off balance. Now I have to express myself with my God-given talents. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. Any way you look at it, we all have to pay our dues. Stay on your P's and Q's. God gave us an offer we shouldn't ever refuse. Stop hating on people you haven't walked in their shoes. My brother's case is a mystery with a lot of clues. Tempers flaring up like a stick of dynamite with a short fuse. I keep preaching nonviolence. Let's show the world that